All right, well, good evening, everyone, and welcome. We have a public hearing, so I am opening the public hearing. And it is, I'll just read the notice. Notice is hereby given that the town board of the town of Canton will hold a public hearing for its regular board meeting on July 13th at 5:45 p.m. at the town hall, 68th Street, New York, for the purpose of considering the local law to exclude trucks, vehicles, tractors, tractor trailers, and other vehicles from highway, and to regulate, excuse me, the stopping of traffic on town road. A copy of this proposed local law has been available for public inspection in the office of town clerk and on the website. Public is invited to comment during the public hearing. So Peggy would ask that we pull up that local law, please. Okay. So we are here to listen, and if you would like to make a statement regarding this local law that we are considering, I'm going to ask that you go to the podium. The acoustics in this room is really, could be better, I'll put it that way. So this allows us to listen better and to hear what you have to say. So is there any public comment on this local law? Okay, if you could say your name and where you're from, that would be helpful too for the record. Yes.
My name is Dwayne Curtis. I guess the first thing I would like to know is I'd like to have explained a little bit that. Okay, to me, the law that I see here is very, very vague. I have no idea what roads we're talking or how many roads we're talking or anything. So I would like whoever is proposing the law to get up and speak and kind of fill us in a little bit more on exactly what roads are we talking about. We talk about all town roads, we talk about 3 town roads. I just can't tell. I'd like whoever's in charge of that end of the speak.
Yeah, Mary, the law applies to all towns. And roads that are maintained by the village and state. It applies to towns.
All the town roads in town.
You want to explain it? You want to- Well, I mean, it's. I'm happy to explain it. You know, the law is, it's also the vehicle and traffic law of the state of New York. Gives broad authority for towns to regulate what happens on town roads. Right, and we've had some issues with heavy vehicles causing damage to town roads.
And that's always been the case, so ever since the horse and buggy days.
Sure. But, I mean, it was a particular scenario, and it was recognized by the town that, you know, maybe it's something we want to take a look at, whether there's needs to regulate not just damage to town roads, but needs to traffic. So this is from the vehicle and traffic law. This is the language here is basically, you know, what's contained in the vehicle and traffic law, which again gives the towns broad authority to regulate what happens on town.
I understand that part of it, and another more clarification I need is about what the delivery means. If you were delivering merchandise, I'm not really understanding. Can you go? It's like if you're empty, you can go on that road, but you can't go on that road in the way of 5 tons. But if you're loaded, you're over. Even if you're not delivering on that road, using that road as a shortcut to get to where you want to go, am I in violation?
Yeah, I think that's what's being attempted to prevent, right? Delivery to the roads that people delivering on those properties that are on that road is one thing. Using town roads that weren't designed to carry that traffic is all thorough areas which try to dissuade.
Then I have to say that I'm very much opposed to the law, the way it was written. being an agricultural community, tractors, manure spreaders, manure trucks, our own vehicles, my business, other businesses, all I see is a law and key. Our business, $6 a gallon for gasoline, diesel fuel. Gonna change a lot of the routes that we have to use from our business, I know. We're going to Pure Pump, for example, the 11 stores in Potsdam. We're gonna have to go down to Stewart's at least, and more traffic, more mileage. I'm opposed. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Just one question. Is it only the first subdivision that you're concerned about? The prohibition against this, stopping traffic on town roads is not a concern?
That is a concern to me, like your UPS trucks and your mailmen. They're blocking traffic on the streets all the time. I travel to other states and it's very common. These people have to do it. That's part of our lifestyle. The UPS truck, I don't know in front of your house, in front of my house, you can't get off the street very well. So a lot of times they'll park on the street, run down the driveway. I just don't see what there is to be gained. I know a lot of it probably is financial, but we got to work that out then, just like we have to work out every problem. It's financial. All I do is see this, it's costing businesses more money. I know people that have large dairy farms that necessarily aren't in Canton, but they own land in Canton. They haul a lot of manure out the Pier Pump Road. It's gonna deter them 3, 4, 5 miles sometimes. A truck that's only getting 6, 7, 8 miles to the gallon on diesel fuel, that's gonna be substantial. Plus you have these big trucks on the roads, more mileage, more risk of injury or accidents. I just don't see the gain.
Dan?
Hi, I'm Ellie Strip. I'm employed by White and Patterson right here across the road. We employ approximately 13 to 15 people depending on the season. We have 7 trucks on the road. They weigh between, and the discussion here was about them being empty. So we're from 19 to 21,000 coming out of Canton. And we also have 140,000 pound truck that's coming through here, tractor trailer. Okay, you'll see Dundee Feeds, your RMU, Jimmy, you've seen those trucks too, White and Patterson. Gerard Mayu and Dundee Feeds purchased us about 5 years ago. Our business has been here since 1927. And we'd like to continue to be here. We make a lot of deliveries in the town of Canton. My biggest concern, and I think that our trucks are pretty well used to dealing with posted roads. Posted roads are very common in Franklin County where we make a lot of deliveries. And it's to help in the spring when there's breakup and you don't want to go across those roads. So we're very familiar with being respectful of that. My biggest question for you folks is we have a gentleman who lives out on the Old Town Road. And he keeps his truck there, and that's the 40,000 pound truck or empty. And he keeps it there at night. He's about 2 miles out. And we're gonna have special permit that truck to take him home. He's taking that home for a few reasons. One is we don't have enough room to store it at the mill overnight. We don't have a plug-in. He needs to plug in that truck. He's installed that at his home. And for security purposes, because we have had some problems with security out back on 8 miles. So I'm definitely in opposition to this. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you. All right, any other public comment? Then we go. Right, and then we can.
I'm Charles Bass, I live on College Street in Canton. And I'm concerned about the number of vehicles this will force onto new roads in the village and that are already really packed. And was wondering if there's a solution that goes along with this, that would keep those roads flowing properly to state. I maybe people from know, maybe not, I proudly often call the police because I shouldn't be playing out. There'll be somebody doing 70 on our road on College Street. For years, you know, tried to protect the crosswalks downtown. And we have a very, very good getting people to obey the laws of both. I think overcrowding the roads that big trucks before Santu, we did even more.
Thank you, Charles. Sam.
I guess you could call me the Minor Street lady. Problems with traffic. Speeders coming down Minor Street, coming to the village, going out of the village. And about 20 years ago, I did a neighborhood petition, we got up to close to 100 signatures. Because when you put in the new Minor Street Bridge, they did not put in a sidewalk. They removed the sidewalk that was there. Previous county fiber for the highways put in a sort of a sidewalk attachment. It was perfect. When they built the new Canton Street Bridge, gorgeous, wide, and they lost that two sidewalks on the wood structure over the river. We had one removed. It makes no sense to me to think about the proposed sidewalk project going out from Minor Street out to Canton. Children, adults, seniors, it makes no sense. And this is public notice about our concern. I don't want to do another petition. The Reno at times of Valley. We made the bridge wider. It was a break. Made it the traffic place. So I don't know if this is the time to bring this up again. I talked to the police, I talked to village people, town supervisor. It just makes those, there's no sense of getting. I want people to hear this issue and don't let it fall. And the gentleman who just spoke about some traffic is I mean, I'm an old lady driver, I know that, and so I am conscious of that. But Lord, really, traffic, if there's gonna be more traffic on side streets or on, I don't know if Main Street is in that category, but it is traffic is just too fast. In fact, policemen out there monitoring the traffic. Well, good. I would like to see possible, the greatest possible. At the beginning of the Management Bridge, and I think that would solve the problem of plowing in the winter time. Because sometimes that's the problem is that the raised sidewalk is on the bridge. Or put on the side an attachment onto the on the bridge itself. About 15 years, a couple of years after the bridge was built. Because we were alive, we want to have these movies, January was like and it was 9:15, really cold. And we had just gotten over the bridge. I told this big house, and I don't know where it went in, but we got over the bridge, we were walking up towards where, there's a bunch of mailboxes. And then we got through the neighbor's house. And a car came down, lickety split. I kid you not, saw us put on the brakes and made a donut on the bridge itself. Hit the side protector on the bridge. We, just where we had been 4 minutes ago. This is not a moot question.
So Sally, can you just, did you get her last name? Can you state your full name just for the record?
Sally Froman, that's VROOMAN. And I'm 187 minus 2.
Thank you, Sally. Thank you. Other public comment?
Hi, my name is Kathy Gibson. We own and operate a business on the Pike Road with various truck sizes. I'm concerned that the local traffic that we have on our roads does enough damage, but when we have out of town contractors doing work, are they going to be exempt from these rules because they are, federally or state funded? And who's gonna police these roads, that type of thing? Do you have any answers for that kind of stuff?
We haven't discussed
I
that.
mean, the law would probably apply.
I'm sorry.
The law would probably apply, straight or immediate detention. For state. But the enforcement, of course, would be up to local law enforcement, but it's just like every other thing.
Which we don't have enough people for. Well, I just concerned because like, our road used to be a town road. Now it's a county road, also the truck route. Because at the time, the town couldn't afford to replace that road. But you look at it now, the county did a fantastic job. When I built our house, there were 200 cars a day. I would say, assume there's probably 5,000 cars that go across our road now. They made it wider, make it faster, the bridge was, I mean, they get it, but it's the local people that are here every day. I mean, we know firsthand, we've seen the Northern Insuring or whatever the vehicles in the Michael's trucks nonstop last weekend. All the ties that they took that way went back that way this weekend. So now the damage has been done, but it's the local taxpayers that are having to foot the bill and explain if I get pulled over, well, where were you going or what were you taking? To run a business, that shouldn't be my explanation to someone because I'm on a road that is posted.
Thank you. Other comment?
Show some Majalski, Canton, and one Kathy. She and I mostly are home to be in Wellington, Canton. As many of you know, it's been there a while, since 1885, been in business. Down on our street and Hudson Street, not the plants, which many of you know is up by the tracks. She has 2 trucks that weigh 11,000 pounds on weight. I'm sorry, 11 tons on weight. With some weight on there, a couple of septic tanks and so forth, concrete plant, it's in the center of town. Been there a long time, and it's the last manufacturing facility left in Canton. Any place from there, from that plant, to deliver a septic tank is over a town road, nearly. Okay, so what this is doing, saying, okay, you can't take those trucks anymore. Unless what? What we're trying to figure out is what are the possibilities here? The other thing that we want to question
you decided, somebody decided, big broad stroke. This is what we want to do. Was there ever an engineering study done? Or was there anything to ascertain how the damage to the roads was occurring? Was there a study? Was there a firm employed to do a study of this? Or is it just somebody said, well, this is what we want to do? Based on what? Well, that's our concern. The other concern is that, you know, we have big trucks, concrete. Just like Wayne, everyone else said. Well, it's gonna crimp everybody's stuff, especially fuel. So we're definitely above. For obvious reasons. Okay.
Thank you, Joe.
The big trucks weighing over a certain weight also pay truck mileage tax. We drive extra on those roads. So every mile we drive, depending on the weight of your truck, you're paying between a cent and 5 cents. Almost for every mile you drive. Plus the tax on top of it, depend, you know, there's the base cost itself, say, so for example, if the truck is registered for 80,000, you're paying $550 on top of your registration and that 5 cents a mile, 4.6 or whatever it comes out to be. You're paying extra to drive on your roads.
Anyone else?
Can I speak again?
Absolutely. Do you want to stand up? Those?
Yeah.
Thank you.
This may seem kind of far fetched, but has anybody ever looked, when we did the pipe road, that involved pipe road, it's a town road. Town took it over. They redid the road, actually rebuilt the road, dug it down, put in good fill, rebuilt the road, didn't just resurface and recap. That doesn't go, that last year, 2 years, 2 years, same rocks are coming up, same sinkhole, we're gonna go down. No. When the county took over that road, I know a lot of people on the pipe road, of course, didn't like them. I like them. I like having a better road, wider road, safer road, joggers and bicycles. Is it possibly that I know nothing about this? To have the county take over all the county roads, if you don't want to let big vehicles. The bigger vehicles, 5,000 or 520 or whatever over, can't use them. Then have the county take over all the roads, and then I would think all the taxpayers in St. Lawrence County would put the burden for the town of Canton. And it would take many, many years for Kell, Herman, Russell, Cena, Augsburg, everybody to catch up with us to do the same thing. So the town of Canton would benefit tremendous if there was a way they could say, I assume this is all driven by finance, and I understand. I understand the town highway superintendent, you folks don't have money, but we have to either come up with a plan to fix the road. We can't penalize the local businesses that are the ones that are supporting you people, paying the tax dollars. Somehow we have to come up with a plan to actually fix the roads. If we can't, has anybody ever looked into it? Can the county take over the roads? It's like the town takes over cemeteries that aren't taken care of. The questions, if anybody's ever looked into it. Could be done. Down in Florida, most all government agencies are done by the county. Trash removal, road repair, medical service, fire service, it's all county. Maybe that's something that needs to be looked at. If we can't afford to do it with the taxes we're charging, then maybe we need to look at a different route. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I appreciate everybody's comments, and there's probably not much that I heard that I disagree with, actually. I guess the question I would have is, despite disagreeing with this law, do you agree that, we should look at out-of-state contractors, out-of-town contractors who are coming into Canton projects, or cutting through Canton, and really, escalating the deterioration of our roads? How do we balance keeping the roads open for all of us, that I usually do, and keeping a check on all of this out-of-state activity that's coming in. We just had a huge project, everybody saw it. We have a lot of other solar projects coming in. We're trying to be out ahead and think about this ahead of time so that we're creating something that protects all of us, but still keeps business flowing local. That's the balance that we're trying to strike. And so, you know, any suggestions in that regard is to, you know, I understand opposing it, but do you also agree we need to be contemplating how we keep these out-of-state contractors? We had a situation of a solar project up on the Canton Road, and they're drawing materials for about a week straight on the Crusher Road, and just beat it up. You know, I mean, it was, someone asked, how are we observing? We're observing. You can see on one Monday, come back 2 weeks later after all this traffic goes through, you can see where the braking at a stop sign has actually deteriorated, blacked off. The shoulders are all broken out, the shoulders. These are out-of-state firms. So we're trying to strike that balance.
Eric, do you know if there's a way that we can take a look at other municipalities to see exactly what Bob's talking about, to see if we can limit traffic, essentially exclude traffic that is local business so that we don't impede that business? And then look at out of state, like you're suggesting, Bob, look at out of state and see if we can do a caveat to this to include to write it to out of state folks who really probably don't think about the things that we have to think about in terms of road repair and all those kinds of things.
I actually think that, before I know you're writing that, but I actually think that a lot of does say that to an extent. It's using the town roads and the shortcut to get to Pierpont and Russell. That's the issue. Local deliveries in Canton are not going to be repeated by the language law. So.
What about the possibility of saying, okay, let's do it by address? And the local companies, if you will, that are based here at Canton or whatever addresses, who can businesses nearby. Special permit for someone who is not a resident, or a company that is not a resident. So highway use by permit only for those companies that you described that are building the power line or something of that sort, to say, okay, you need a permit to run those big, a fee permit to run those big trucks on these town roads. As part of the project, as part of the approval project, you talked about solar, okay, you got the trucks, you got tractor trailers or whatever. When the project is permitted, you say, okay, this is the deal. And look, you're gonna bring in trucks, you're gonna have to get a permit.
For Canton projects, we have that. We are concentrating on that. The problem is when the materials are coming from Stockholm and the project in Cal. And so we're not part of that approval process, and we only know it happening until the trucks are rolling through. And we're trying to give some authority to the superintendent to be able to go to them and say, okay, it's time out.
Unfortunate part is you say.
Mike, can you-
Non,
Mike, excuse me, can you,
oh,
say
Mike,
who you are?
John Canton.
Code enforcement.
Code enforcement. When you say address Canton. The Cousin Town Road project, which is in the town of DeKalb. I knew the hauler that was doing the dirt work. He's from DeKalb Junction. So, you know, that's where we're kind of. There. These local or the solar projects, the haulers and everything are local people that are doing it. It's the contractors that are coming from us. That's.
Did you want to? Bother?
Yeah, in Bob, there's not an easy answer to that. Generically, you're raising issues of interstate commerce. You have issues that. You know, I'd have to go do some research because it's a very fine. And I don't know that we could do it based on that. But I can certainly think we need another way to do that. I don't know, we talked about solar projects, even with the state, they typically will require that there be. There is the instruments and all that. So we do some of those things. But still, there's so much to the control of authorities that are outside the town can't, right? As opposed to somebody local who's on the road and see the impact of what's happening. I mean, the idea was never forced. Businesses. Almost nobody wants to do that. Right? Realistically, it's such a tax.
Yeah.
The local tax.
And that's what I was stated at the last meeting. At our June meeting, when he asked for the law. He said, I don't want this to affect any local business. I want local business to continue the way local business is going. Where the problem is, and we here know what the problem was. It got to the point where roads were being destroyed and highway superintendent couldn't do a thing about it. He'd show up, drive by it, they drive over. You stand in front of the pickup, just gotta keep going. So what we want to be able to do a lot of problems. Create more than that's, this. Heavy traffic doing damage to. For instance, right now, town of Canton is doing major change culverts on Irish South. And so new culverts are going to be put in, they're large culverts. We're going to try to cap them and they'll let settle over the winter. And so come spring, if there's an issue with them, we want the highway superintendent to have the ability to post that road maybe for 8 ton or 10 ton, whatever it is, so that we don't do damage to, we're gonna agree tonight, like 2 pipes, $21,000. We don't want damage to those pipes. And so we have to post the road in spring because of circumstances in the spring, then gotta be able to do that. Right now, he does not have the ability to do it. The only thing he's got the ability to do is close it. And you don't want to close it.
In years past, they used to be able to do that.
Pardon?
In years past, they used to be able to do that. They posted the road and then like we had to get permission. We had a letter that said we could drive down the pipe road to our business. They posted the road for like 5-ton weight limit.
We did also.
And then we had to go to the town highway superintendent, get a letter saying that I had permission to drive down the pipe road to my residence. And it specifically stated that, you know, it wasn't for deliveries or anything, but in the springtime, when, you know, the talking along, that's what they did.
This,
So what was changed
what
from way back when?
What
Pardon me?
if it's a town-
When it was a town road, yes.
Terry Bill.
We used to have to go every year and get a letter. When they posted the road. So what's different from that? Like, I mean, I can go dig up a letter that says I have permission to travel down the pipe road, but what kind of authority did they have then to do that versus now?
There's a different process from temporarily posted to the spring versus.
Right.
Roads are posted, and Kathy said, the roads are posted. They're saying, you know, weight limit, by permit only. If you see by permit only, or something like that. Have to get a permit from Dan or someone downtown, get it from Heidi or whatever. That would alleviate some of it. My question is, how are you gonna enforce it? Well, those guys come and go, then who knows where they're from, Wyoming or whatever, they could care less. They're down there and gone before you even can pick up the phone. My question is, how is this to be enforced?
Well, and highway superintendent, all law enforcement.
Well, I get that, but that's not, you know, I mean, there's no signage, no nothing, no something. There's nothing for him to say, okay, well, you can't do this. You know, I said, this is what I'm saying. There should be some signage posted so that he is well within his right to do so.
How much is it gonna cost it? So we're gonna have to post every road that says
Every town road.
every town road's gonna have a 5-ton weight limit sign on it. How are these out of town people gonna know that the road's posted?
If you're gonna do, posted road, then there will be posted signs. Posted signs will be put out.
It'd be quite an expense there, have to do that as well, right?
Well, if you're posting one road, I hope it wouldn't be too long.
Like cheaper to redo it, road.
Yeah, I know what you're asking.
You're asking to do all the roads.
You're gonna have to do every road if an out of town company wants to come travel down into St. Lawrence County.
But
Yeah, that's a lot of town road.
This draft applies to town council. Not a limited number of towns.
All town roads. So you have to put a posted sign on the end of each road.
Is there a map that highlights which roads are the bonus? I mean, there are county roads and state roads.
In 100 miles of town road, in the county, not counting county roads. Okay.
How many
85,
signs does that,
15.
how many signs does that generate?
How many town roads are there?
Individual.
You'd have to have one for each end.
Right. Well, I would not go in favor of that, because it was never my thought or intent that we be talking about posting every single.
But that's the way it reads.
That's where this
That's the way it reads.
Can I make a suggestion? Can we table this until we kind of figure all this out?
Well,
I can make one
after
more
we-
quick comment.
Right, good. Yeah.
so the public hearing, you know, we're here to listen, and then when everybody's had their chance, then I will close the public hearing, and then we'll decide what to do next, okay? It is on the agenda, but we can certainly decide what to do next. Mr. Curtis, would you like to make one last?
One last thing.
Okay.
Going back to Jim Smith, who I respect very, very, very much. His comment earlier. I want to make sure that everyone's clear. This is not something that I don't think anybody would, but I can only speak for myself, is targeting Steve. Steven's doing a fine job. he is trying to do with the roads what he sees best with the money that he's got to do it. It's nothing to do with Stephen growing up on a farm. I know he grew up on a farm. He doesn't want to damage roads, but then he wants to let the farmers use the roads also. So this is not anything to do with Stephen or the town board. This is something just to do with us as businesses. And if we do restrict these roads, because we're blaming Michael, we're blaming the other people, yes, they are doing damage to the road, just like the Virgin Curtis damage to the road or any other heavy truck, it's gonna damage the road over time, but contribute to that. We are gonna be left with Michael gone and the solar people gone in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down the road. But all of us that are in business are still gonna have to deal with this law. This law is not gonna go away. Michael's going away. Thank you.
Thank you. And a little bit later, we're gonna show a map of all the solar projects that are coming in. It's pretty profound. So, okay, I think we've listened. Board, are we good? Any other comments? All right, so it is 6:27. I am closing the public hearing now. This is on the agenda. Let's see where it is. Yep. Under new business, so we can take a little breather and then discuss it then, and unless you want to discuss it at the beginning, but I'll have to call the order.
I would like to discuss that at the beginning, so we don't have to sit there and wait.
Okay, everybody agree? Okay, so Heidi, are we good with our taping? That sounds, okay, yeah, okay, very good. All right. So I am calling the regular meeting to order now. It is 6:28 on Wednesday, July 13th. Welcome again, everybody. So we're gonna take, I do have a few items to add to the agenda. And then we'll jump right to the new business item on this public hearing. So we need to add number 7 under new business. Rensselaer Falls has requested a road closure. And there's a letter sent to us. And then number 8 would be discuss a moratorium on anaerobic digesters. Okay. So we're gonna jump right to new business number 3, local law, number 2, regulation of roads. So I'm opening it up for discussion.
I would like to make a motion to table this for now, so we figure out what we need to really do with this.
Second.
Any further discussion?
And if I use, the local law is drafted, is some course of just right, and getting the input so that we can find some law as part of the process. So I'm there's really good input tonight. Just, I guess, before we vote, is there a to-do, are we gonna kind of think about it? You want me to go back and do some additional research to see if we can refine it in the confines of what the Commerce Clause will allow us to do? Just so that's actually something great.
The special permit, outside coming in. And also, if we're going to have a building to go posting that is specific to a building and not something that we're gonna post every single building.
I guess for me, there was 2 components to this law. One, giving the authority of the highway superintendent that if somebody wanted to do a detour, they have to get the permission of the superintendent. That's language in here as well. To me, that's critical. So I don't know if the board wants to consider us, splitting those 2 things. And just focusing on the one piece that we listen to. I guess I would ask the highway as well. Work with Eric.
What we heard. Need comments into consideration, we'll be there. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. All right, so there is a motion, there is a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carry. All right, thank you, everybody, very much for your feedback. It's really important. And you're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Of the proposed, is
Uh,
that available, is that publicly available? or is-
It is in the public packet on the website.
Okay.
People under agendas, it'll just say public packet. It doesn't say-
But one to know it.
So,
Before you, one, yeah.
yeah, so.
Which
the
I
one
can
that's in the-
update tomorrow for you. I'll put an updated one on the website tomorrow.
So it's gonna look like this, and we're gonna pull it up tonight. And one project has decided not to move forward, and that's on state 310. So-
My phone passed my bedtime.
Oh, okay, Joe, so is the time.
Anything I think that we get out publicly, if you say it's closed down. So that we know.
Thank you, everybody. Good night. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right, any other public comment? That's the next item on the agenda. Okay. I'm sorry. I think it cleared it up. All right, I don't see any of our county legislators here. I need a motion to approve minutes of the regular board meeting of 5:11, joint board meeting of 5:25, and regular board meeting of 6:08. Moved by Bob Sandler, is there a second? Second by John Kyle, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, correspondence. All right, let me just get organized here. We did receive a letter from Excellus, indicating that there's a potential change to our health insurance premiums. It might increase by 14.26%. And that's just for the active employees. I did send a letter, as we did last year, opposing this. Because that's quite the increase. I did have a meeting with Tish today, and as far as the retirees, that data isn't available yet. But
Might it be time to put on our meeting?
Well, I asked Tish if she would come to our September meeting to do a presentation.
But I'm talking about it. Let's put it up in the public and let's get somebody else, some other companies coming in, some other brokers, and see what deal we can have. And put some pressure on them. Not think it's just automatic that we renew just because other people have them fast.
Then there's other plans that we consider within the burner benefits
So-
structure. That would lessen the cost, but there would be less benefits as well, so. You want me to start working on?
Yeah, you gotta start, because usually what happens is we'll get into budget time, get into September, and then all of a sudden, it's too late, we end up, well, then let's fail, and we never. I think it's one of those things with rates on the way they are. I think we need to, on a regular basis, maybe every 3 years, whatever. Whatever the board wants to look at, what the alternatives are. I understand that. We buy, because we have a negotiated contract with a number of our employees, that we have to be very careful about how we handle it. We have to involve the union in on it, but at the same time, they are paying also. So, and a lot, the newer ones are paying a percentage, so I think we need to. We look at
Music competition.
yeah, and we go on, we've been with them for.
Okay, so, would a board member like to make a motion? Right.
Make a motion to put our RFP for, health benefit coverage.
Is there a second?
Sorry.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
And so if that was done, with that, would you, in the RFP, did you do that, what we presently have for coverage? And then you ask for equal to or better than,
I'm gonna do some research on how it's done and what the language is and send it to the board and.
Based on how it's divided.
Yeah.
Just
Just take the current plan, this is the code we set. In order to satisfy, you know, our agreement discussions.
Mary, do we have the arc of like the last even 5 years of the rates? 14% is a big jump, I think I've seen.
Well, it just seems to think it's going down to 12, and I'm like, come on,
Even so,
yeah.
it's still.
Do we have since I've been here the rates? Yes.
Yeah, so maybe circulating them just to see where that trend has been. It seems like a pretty severe jump.
We might even be able to go back to when we started with that.
That'd be
To
great.
get that from them, so. Okay, correspondence, I'm still on. We did get a letter from the Division of Budget, getting our second allocation for the ARPA funds, to the tune of 217 through 3268. It's the same exact amount that we got last summer. I'm expecting to receive that in July. So we got the official letter on that. The next item is from the St. Lawrence County IDA, indicating that there's a public hearing notice for proposed bond issuance for St. Lawrence University. And that was sent to the board. That public hearing is Tuesday, July 19th at 10 a.m. And it's about an $80 million public $80 million cost for bonding for properties at St. Lawrence University. So we got that as well. Okay, that's it for correspondence. Town finances report. Okay, hi, John.
Hi,
Everybody have their colored copy?
should have the report to June,
Okay,
which is one half of our fiscal year. General fund A, $280,000 under budget and revenue. We're also $140,000 under budget on expenditure. So you can see we have a deficit year to date of $139,906. The reason for that deficit is that we purchased property for $242,000. Now, I think that was designed to come out of the fund balance when we first talked about it. And the fund balance, just as a reminder, the fund balance at the beginning of the year is 293,000. So if we take out the 242, that fund balance will be down to 50,000, assuming our budget is perfect and we'll come out with a break even at the end of the year. Town outside B, on the revenue side, we're $207,000 under budget. On the expenditure side, we're $266,000 under budget. So we have a surplus of $59,000 for the first 6 months. Our bag, no change. Miscellaneous special revenue, no change. Townwide highway DA, we're over budget on revenue by $75. We're under budget on expenditures by $343,000. So we have a surplus today of $344,000. Parktown highway DD, we're under budget on the revenue side by $742,000. We're also under budget on the expenditure side of $1,028,000. So we have a surplus of $286,000. Special fire, revenue is right on budget. Expenditures are $40,000 over budget. Sorry, under budget. So we have a surplus of $40,452 right now. Special lighting revenue is $6 over budget. Expenditures are $2,400 under budget, so we have a surplus today of $2,400. And for the whole town, we have revenue is under budget by $1,230,000, but expenditures are under budget by $1,823,000, which leaves a surplus for townwide of $592,000. And again, we put the building back on top of that, we're up to about $840,000. On the cash accounts for the town, very last page of the report. General fund A, we have cash of $146,000. At this time last year, we had $395,000. Outside fund B, we had $374,000 in cash. At this time last year, we had $314,000. Cemetery fund, $2,500, same as last year. DA and DB fund cash, $1,487,000. Last year, $1,214,000. And joint activity, $8,422, same, almost exactly the same as last year. Trust and agency, $14,000. Last year was 48,110. We have cash held for special purposes. We have, special fire, special lighting, 54,000. Library trust fund, $16. Revolving loan fund, 46,932. Our bed cash, 54,207. Solar escrow cash, 329,240. An American Rescue Act plan cash for $201,000. The total cash held for special purposes is $685,000. And total cash on hand with everything was $2.7 million.
Any questions? Right?
Supervisor's gonna grow. But I, I. EDA and DD cash. And I think we should do that. Because. You know, they're lumped into the same account, and but the fact of the matter is, they're two separate taxing jurisdictions. EA is town-wide. Revenue and expense, and DB is town outside only. Yeah, we throw them together in the same cash account. And we've talked about this a lot of times, and I'll talk about it again. And I'll talk about it next one, if I have to, but I think it's time that we separate those two cash accounts.
On what basis would you allocate the cash? On what basis would you allocate the cash between the two? Because it's not equal to the fund balance, the total. So how would we say this part belongs to VA, this part belongs to DP?
But you already do that. We don't, how come we don't put general fund, A and the general fund outside, B, same cash?
No, I'm not arguing what you're saying. I'm just saying if we're going to do that, how do we split up the cash account? How do we know how much of that cash belongs to outside? We'll present it somehow, but we don't know how much of that money belongs. to-
Aren't there balances?
Well, there are fund balances, but the fund balances don't equal the cash on hand. Allocated based on fund balance. So in other words, if VA has 40% of the fund balance, they would own 40% between the two, they would own 40% of cash, so we certainly do that.
And this is just one reason why we think it should be separated, because when we go to spend the money, it gets a little confusing on our end. So seeing those as two separate pots of money is gonna make other people's life a lot easier.
But from our point of view, an accounting point of view, it can be done. We just have to have a good starting balance.
Yeah.
For each.
Well, maybe we wait till the end of the fiscal year. And wherever we land on December 31st, we start that account January 1st, the money should be. Everything should clear, right, at the end of the year, we will have a balance below.
It still won't equal the fund balance. They're not the same. The fund balance and the cash account are not necessarily the same. We could allocate it based on fund balance.
I think that makes the most sense.
I think there's no other way to do it. So from an accounting point of view, from our perspective, it's not a problem.
All the important letters are at that end of the table, so. All the important letters after your names are at that end of the table, so I'll be happy with whatever you come up with.
It's Mary Ann's decision. I'm just saying we need to do it.
No, it's a town board decision. I disagree with it. But. I'm all voted.
Why though? On what basis?
Because it's kind of like the same with the solar money. If we separated every single account and try to show that. But I'm willing to sit down with John and look at it and report back to the board on everything that needs to be done. But certainly, if the board majority votes to do this, then we really can't do it.
I'm fine with
I think it has to be done then, because that's the point in the year where the fund balance is close.
Yeah, and I think we waited this on, we waited.
And I think we also need to listen to Danielle and the other team members down at Gray and Gray, because there are a lot of nuances, and especially with payroll as well, and all the benefits too, so, I have no problem looking at it and reporting back. Because I just want the board to know all the nuances, because it has to do with, sending in all the taxes and, where we're gonna draw this, when we're gonna draw that. And the way the budget is structured now, we have a good system. But towards the end, you do have to do a little bit of juggling, to satisfy the budget.
Well, imagine A and B accounts in the same bank account. I mean, there's a reason why we don't do that. It's basically the same reason why we're asking for BA and B to have to do.
They belong. Two different groups of people, taxpayers own those that are pay into them and get the benefit out of them. But here we are, we're throwing it in the same pot. And I understand there's nuances, but also there's, I can't see how we can just lump all this money in one little pot and continue for it. And so that means that I only gotta remind you, 5 more months.
And I said, I'll report back. So we'll, get together and.
Sure.
Before John gets on, just there's internet connection. For the people who can't see us.
You can't hear us?
Some can't see us, I'm not really sure. Just a minute.
Okay, thank you, Heidi. All right, the clerk's report.
So on the clerk accounts, we have $2,600 on hand at the end of June. We also owe $2,602 to the town, $65 to Ag and Markets, $112.50 to the Department of Health, and town fees, $2,045, and DEC for decal, $406. Those may be paid by now, but that's June 30th. We look at the year-to-date activity in the town clerk's office. We have collected $4,095 for decals. We collected $9,226 for fees, made up of certified copies, 1,102, building permits, $5,358, dog licenses, $1,886, and $880 for marriage licenses. Taxes, we collected $117 for second notice fees, $6,575 for penalties, $11,946 for surcharges, $4,941 for town and county taxes, for total collections through June 30th of $4,959,818. That money is all been sent out, and will shortly be sent out.
Any questions? All right. We need a motion to accept those reports. Moved by John, and second. Second by Beth. Wow, favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried. Audit committee.
Okay, for Fund A, the general fund, $54,049.13. For DA townwide highway, $6,103.45. DB town highway outside, $450,159.34. For Fund B, town outside, $4,585.49. For special fire, $3,958 even. Special lighting, $269.52. And finally, trust and agency, $20,364.25.
I thought the,
Which one?
From
The penny.
share.
Okay.
Sure. Okay, so we'll add that. Consider it added on my records. Done.
All right. I need a motion to approve the expenditures. By Jim,
Second.
Second by Bob Watchell. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried. Okay, department reports. Linda, would you like to start?
yes, I would.
Okay,
I'm freezing back here.
we can't hear you though.
I'm freezing back here.
Freezing? You want my sweater?
I have one upstairs.
All right.
So did you get a chance to read it before?
Linda, I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Okay. You can. I know. So can I sit here? I don't want to. Did everyone get my report? I'm sorry, it was a little late and not in on Friday, but I was away all last week. Can you hear me now? So you all got my report. Any questions? Okay. I don't have any.
Well, can you give us a couple highlights, please?
Highlights, we're having Wayne Miller come in under the and bring in the census for the 1932 school in it. And he sat for an hour and a half and watched them constantly flowing pictures talking. Going to the historic conference in Kingston this year. I have not been in 3 years. I'm looking forward to it, and I have 20 in my contractual for conferences. Thank you for that. Tom or marker. I can get 5, but the work entailed in those is monstrous. And since I don't have friends here and we used to help me terribly, I've chosen Pirates. I was going to do the county home. But Pirates with Tony Bennett visiting there in the summers and the mill history and the photos. I have equal photos for county home and I'll probably do that next year. But I was down around Kingston already, and there are so many historic markers. And we really there's one right now, so that's my project for this Pirates. The plane dealers, that is taking more time because I have to research and get it done. But he does a great job because he puts up with.
I'm talking about you.
Yeah. He would like things on Friday as well. So I have to start my research every week. I work till 7 Monday night, so he would have to. So he's a big help to me and he has a good feel for Canton. So I'm very happy to work with him. Roger Bailey. And this is interesting because Malcolm McCormick and I had a good relationship to a point. And he got upset with me. But he was a good mentor, and when you read what Roger is doing for that man, you will not believe it. I mean, you can go into his obituary, but I listened to some highlights. And he left Canton. He went off and did a lot of other things in his life. So I think it's important what Roger's doing. And Richard Caceres, I have 35 postcards and scanned 6 of them yesterday. You never find postcards on streets. They're seldom on. But I have Chapel and I have Elm Street. So you'll see what that looked like back. And the dates are on them. And 2 family members were writing back and forth in 1905 and 1915. I guess that's how they communicated. Maybe no telephones. I'm not sure what the Mr. and Mrs. Fred Dodds and Brockles. And there was another family involved. So I copied the front of the postcard and the back so you can start reading what was going on. They were a pain. So that's been really fun. Helen Cannon. That's fun. Her family came from Maryland. And I was at their house and then they were in the office for 2 hours. And they left me a lot of history. Thanks.
Linda, did you, I know it's not in your report, but did you mention to me that Rensselaer Falls reached out to you to do a marker? So you're just helping them, on the process, you know?
Yes.
Because who is their historian?
Robert Ford. It's gonna be hard for him to do. So Shelley Sanderson who wrote. And I said, you can come and visit me. And I sent her the application and how it works. It's difficult. I mean,
It is a lot of work.
it's going to drive you crazy, but send what you're supposed to be doing. They have a committee, and I only had to do it all at once. Some historians have to do it 2 times. So it's frustrating. And we usually willing to plan that. And if it goes to the parents, the town has to be able to do it.
Should be able to put it in as long as it's,
They give you the direction.
Where do you intend to put the one? Where's it gonna go?
Well, I don't know yet. That would be the issue. Because there's not remnants a lot from the mill.
Right.
But once you get into the village. And I put the pictures, I put those pictures on.
Maybe at the fire department, that might be the most stable.
Yeah,
What's it commemorating? What's it?
The sign.
No, I have to put 5 lines. And they can only have 27 letters, commas, here.
It's pretty restricted.
The 15, the main one, you can only have 15 letters, commas, or spaces. So it is difficult, but the title I have to put, is Tony Bennett, the mill provided so much work.
Well, I know Pirates one, but I mean, I'm talking about Bristol Falls one.
Oh, well, because they have a historian.
They have a historian that's gonna be doing it, she's just helping them.
I know, but I'm just curious what signs or
Honeymoon capital in our country.
what.
Honeymoon
Right.
capital in our country.
To me, I needed more history on Rentham. And I know Bob Ford will be going to help Shelby Sanderson. Once she gets through that application. Something. Get an account.
So it's up to the village
Yeah,
where, you know.
I mean, I would like to do county hall and pirates, but I can't do 2. It just takes enough. So.
All right,
And that's about it.
all right. Any questions of Linda?
No,
All
we
right.
gotta get going with this. Wait.
Thank you, Linda. Appreciate it. Lee, would you like to go next?
Sure.
Okay.
I did not submit a report because I'm on vacation, but I don't have a lot to, as far as updates, projects are ongoing, same ones that were in the previous report. A couple of things that have happened since then is the Restore New York program has been announced, first round of it. The guidelines are released, applications are due mid-October for the first round. Second round will be announced. Well, it's round 6, this time will be round 7, and also mid-October on the same time, the first interview. So I've been approached about a potential project for that program. Also the guidelines for the downtown revitalization initiative are just announced today. In fact, I got an email about it. Still not all the details about the New York Forward program, but there are requesting letters of intent this year. So we'll be looking at those things as well. But other than that, just continuation on all the projects.
Anybody have any questions of Lee? All right, great. Cindy?
Okay, good evening. First off, I'd like to take a few minutes to, thank the Real Property Tax Office in St. Lawrence County. I just don't think they get enough thank yous. I mean, we go up there Christmas time, you give the girls candy and you give them cookie trays, but for them finishing this role, I could not have done it without them. Bruce Green, the Director of Real Property Tax Services, Patricia Fletcher, the Senior Aide, Donna Brown, the Coordinator of Real Property Tax Services, Tina Miller, the Real Property Aide, Joyce, I'm not gonna pronounce her last name, she's the counselor, and Lisa Cicerelli, she's our tax map technician. And I just want to give a big shout out to them. They go up there. I mean, I worked in 3 other counties and this county, real property tax service office is phenomenal. And I know on the chargebacks that the town gets charged for, and a big part of it is to that goes to their office and everything. That's worth everything. It is. So that's what I wanted to say about that. As far as my report, I did submit about the valid sales. I gave you guys a listing of what was considered valid and what was considered not valid in my report. And the reason being is September 2nd is our deadline with the state. We have to make sure that we review all the sales and make sure that what's valid is valid and what's not is not, but we have to kick it out and we transmit it. And this will be the process of calculating the 2023 equalization rate. Right? So that's the reason why I put that in the report. Also, let's see, I ran the sales analysis report for next year, and equalization rates dropped to it's down about 76%. For the residential, that's a residential, so. It's coming in. We knew that the sales have been coming in over and above what the assessed values are, and we're seeing, it's 10%, but we're at 86%. So we'll see where the numbers are with doing the sales analysis and coming in with the numbers after September. Have a better idea. Does anybody have any questions on my report? No.
And you saw the 10-year data analysis and evaluation, so that was impressive. What was it, it raised 36 million increase over the.
Yes, that was
10 years.
taxable town value, yeah.
So,
Without a rebound.
I'm sorry about
Without a rebound.
without a rebound.
Yeah, and a lot of it was the commercial properties for the village, so.
Okay, good. All right, thanks, Cindy. Mike McQuaid, code enforcement.
Thank you, Mary. Through the month of June, a total of 13 new commits. 2 being complete renovations of old farmhouses. Old farmhouses. 1 being a residential foundation for a new home on Mead Road, that was flooded by fire last mid or early spring. So that's the start of those. Through the month, they issued 13 new compliance certificates and 1 occupancy certificate. And we held 2 planning board meetings through the month for the Route 11 solar project and the Judson Street project. And we took the lead agency on both of those for the seeker review. We're still in meeting stages for those 2 projects, as you can see. We held, of course, it's on the agenda shortly. There's a meeting coming up on the EDF solar project, or what I like to call the Route 11 project. That's what it's on. And we, through this month, I'll be holding 4 solar meetings. Seems like 1 every week. Now 1 is 2. Well, other than that, this month started off well. 3 new homes coming up in Canton. So, along with solar, I got new homes. It's a juggling, but it's going good.
Great.
Other than that, that's all I have.
Okay, any questions for folks?
Just a comment. Thank you for getting rid of the camper. For helping to get rid of the camper, whatever it was.
I do not want to go there.
Okay, all
I
right,
gotta say,
good,
But
good
thank
with
you.
that.
Thank you.
All right, Stephen,
Yes. So we had a pretty busy month in June. County Highway was able to start our paving on June 15th. And we're finished up by the 23rd. And as always, the county crew did a really great job for us. They watched everything close to keep us inside of our budgets and everything that we needed to have happen. So very happy that they were able to do that for us. We were able to shim and top 5,600 feet of the Fairings Russell Road, 1,700 feet on the Schoolhouse Road, 4,700 feet on the Crusher Road, and 1,600 feet on the Gibbon Road. And we're still working at getting shoulders on. Trying to get there, but just takes time. I'd like to really thank the crew for stepping up and doing an awesome job throughout the whole process. Everybody worked good together and got it done. The 16th of June, we had a big windstorm come through. We ended up having to have 6 crew members come in for 4 hours that night to get the roads open back up. And unfortunately, with paving and everything, we're still working at cleaning that mess up. We got a day in today on it too. Probably another couple of days, we'll have that cleaned up finally. Hopefully we can get done before the next one hits. And other than that, I'd like to thank Megan again, she's not here tonight, for helping us out, getting the mower in from the rec department to get our cemeteries mowed up for the 4th of July.
Any questions for Stephen? All right, thank you, Stephen. And Megan Richardson cannot be here for recreation, she had her one of her programs tonight. She only offered. Is there a motion to accept? Oh,
I'll
Heidi,
go.
Heidi,
It's
sorry.
So John already went over the financial report for our office. We are done collecting taxes, which went really smoothly. Amanda did a great job with that for her first time, so that was great. All the checks, like John said, we've already paid everybody out. We just need to pay the town $2.18 in interest. I created a FOIL procedure with Mary Ann looked over, and we posted that on the website. So when anybody FOIL requests us, they just know what the steps are. I'm just working on organizing the office and creating some binders for references. This was, I think when I talked when you audited the office about kind of having like binders to go to for new people so that it's an easy, transition and stuff. So I'm working on creating some binders for all the programs that we use and all that, and there's a lot. So it's taking some time. I attended that mystical workshop in June, beginning of June, and I was asked to help with the executive board to create a new clerk toolbox for all the new clerks in New York State. We're hoping to have that done by the September regional. So the goal is that when all the new clerks come on, the district directors would hand this toolbox to the clerks to help them transition into becoming a new clerk. So I was asked to help with that, so that's pretty exciting. And then just the Wi-Fi access point to help with the Wi-Fi for board meetings is on hold at the moment for further discussion with the village on what steps to take next. Any questions?
Any questions of Heidi? All right, great. Are people, like, it looks like there's some type of conversation going on?
No, it's the recording.
That's the recording, okay,
What you're
All right.
saying, yeah.
all right, very good.
Leanna texted me, she's having trouble seeing and hearing this, but
Seeing in here,
it still says it's recording, so
okay.
we'll see at the end.
Any motion to accept the department reports? Moved by
Second.
Bob Washoe, second. Second by Bob Seymour, all in favor, say aye. Aye, carried. Committee report.
The Code and Zoning Update Committee continues to meet. That committee is made up of Jeremy, myself, planning board chair, ZBA chair, code enforcement officer, Lee, and our consultant from River Street. We're making pretty good progress. And this is in response to, just so for the record, so the public understands, the reason we're doing it is part 2 of creating a comprehensive plan and making sure that your zoning code is right and supports the vision that the community has agreed to with the community. So that's the process that we're doing.
Great. Other reports.
Okay. Their team met on Monday and discussed a few things. We're hoping by the joint meeting with the village on the 27th, we're gonna have a recommendation on coming up with a comprehensive plan oversight committee. We have some ideas and kicking around what we want to share. Anna Sorensen has sent out, we want to all this, I believe, about the CGI digital discussion. We're gonna have that on the agenda as well for the 20th. And we also talked about the town funding for housing. We're looking at a recommendation for that. I have a broadband question, but I'm gonna save it for a broadband discussion coming up in the business.
I guess I had one more. The solar committee is continuing to meet. And we're actually meeting with EDF tomorrow. To go over our law and some other agenda items that we can get to in our last meeting. And those meetings, Shane, planning board chair, we have Bartley Judas there, our energy attorney. So it's a robust conversation.
That's tomorrow, Bob, or Friday?
Well, Friday.
Oh, Friday, Friday, okay, Friday the last,
Okay.
Friday.
All right, just to say a little bit
I'm
of-
saying,
I would have been early. Again. Right.
Well, board
It
member-
actually makes me feel better.
Yeah, you know,
So, yeah,
we're having Friday because after the community.
And the point we're actually gonna have, we're gonna sit down with our law, we're going to find out whether rubber meets the road and what they're gonna call up on something that they're gonna do room for negotiation, or they're gonna have to go to the state national exemption from our law. So it's gonna get real pretty soon.
Okay. All right. Right, okay.
9 o'clock. 9 o'clock, 9 to 11.
You're on safe. All right, so the policy committee, Jim and I, have been meeting a little bit, talking on the phone, we will be proposing, an internal controls, financial policy in the near future. You know, it's a good thing about how and what we do with our money and all that, so there might have to be. updated a little bit.
make more progress on policy committee than we are on negotiations. So. We're trying. But I did hear that.
Probably shouldn't.
I did hear that their negotiator is in the area, so you should be listening.
So the negotiations committee is Jim and I, and we're waiting for another meeting. So, okay, any other committee reports?
I'll just comment, the sustainability committee isn't going to meet until we, change that.
Okay, so, and we have a joint meeting July 27th. Okay, all right, good.
We're highway map this week. And there is,
Oh, there is a proposal.
yes, why is it on the agenda?
I didn't add it on, did I?
So there's gonna be the request for the 21,000 for color and for additional paving work because we have money to be done on the paving. Yes. From Ames Road to the bus station.
So, do you want to add it to the agenda for those two items?
Please.
Yeah,
Because I got this on Tuesday night, right?
Yeah.
So, okay,
And the highway committee recommended approval of the culvert expense
all right, so that'll be number 9 under new business.
and the road, but yeah, two separate.
Over expenditure, and what was the last one, the new road?
But we haven't put a dollar figure to that yet, have we?
Correct.
Yeah, so
Just,
we have a joint meeting at the end of the month.
We do,
So let's just do the culvert tonight and we can approve the road at the joint meeting at the end of the month. We'll have more information then, right?
we just really don't know.
but
So you can say
What do you want to know now?
I think
what road,
I got it.
it's from Ames, from the intersection of Ames Road to Buckskin Town Line. It's Finnegan Road. The only,
4,010 feet. 4,010 feet.
That was approximately 190.
I think it's pretty big or let me, I call it, done that one.
it's right here.
Yes, it is.
you want to put
146. 83, yes, and we can. If we can do it, we can put a final figure with it, I think it's good, as we put a final figure to it. They can, wow, still gonna be an estimate.
Yeah.
And this is estimate based on what costs are today, or as can, of what the county, the rate that they charge.
And it's still under what we have budgeted for the year, including the additional funding from the state.
But I think the reason for doing it this evening is then the highway superintendent has the ability to contact the county and lock it in for
that work to get done, because so long we put it off, you know, it gets to the point where Lake County and, and Kevin would say, ain't gonna happen this year.
So is this piece part of the original list?
It was the original list of roads we were looking at, but not the list that we approved. So there's an additional, the dust is settled, we know how much money we have money to do this, we're recommending it.
So it's a new piece.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, so we can add that on this agenda then. Okay. So Heidi, you have all that data. Okay. All right, great. All right, thank you for all the work on the committees. Old business, solar projects. All right. So I'm gonna have Heidi, I asked that, with an updated map be made. We have, been notified that the state highway 310 company, they are withdrawing. That's the Hayes Farm piece. And so, I wanted the public to see something, how profound this is. So maybe we could just shut off one of the lights. Please. So this is a map of the solar projects. The blue one is the EDF, the yellow, you can see they're marked. There's the old DeKalb Road, the Judson Street Road, US 11, County Route 27. But and then the village site is right in the very middle. That's already done. You know, that was a project about 5-6 years ago that the village started. And that's out where the old, you know, the old movie Dragon Theater. So that's just showing that that's where a solar project is. But the rest are the projects that are, you know, coming to the top. So the biggest one is the EDF one, the blue, and they're having an open house tomorrow night. That is on the agenda. That's at the Roos House at SUNY Canton from 5 to 8. It's an open house to talk about this huge project. And this is a state project, whereas the others are not state regulated, state, you know, managed, or however you would say it, right? But I think, you know, showing it on a map, that's what's hitting us. And, you know, Mike, you get calls maybe every other day from new companies just inquiring about our law and you know, the whole process. So it's a fluid map. Mike, are those new leases on the EDF blue, have they been included? So I think a couple new leases are in the works. So that's showing you what's going on.
There's talk of development on the other side of the Eddie Meyer rebuild, but I think that's just door knocking.
Mhm.
I heard Scuttlebot who signed up.
Okay. All right, does any other word that we want to add in on this? Don't get you started, okay, we can turn the lights back on then.
And to get back to the public hearing on the roads. I have a solar project beside my house. 10 megawatt that's being installed. And for 3 months, 4 dump trucks going by Monday through Saturday to build a road. Then after that time, tractor trailers of material being delivered to that site. 30 tractor trailer loads with solar panels, the tubing, everything to go with it, the transformers, the poles and all that. Now, Monday through Saturday, I have pickup trucks. So to the point of the public hearing, yeah, they do pound roads. And, you know, they come through the village, they turn on the town road, so it's a village road, but town. Road. And we just, the street I live on just was paved last year. The manhole they dropped in already, you know, it's gonna be that year. They do mark up the roads. It's something to look at when you, as a town board, are making that.
Okay. All right, the next item is to discuss the broadband project.
Before, if you want to mention something that on the Richfield project and meeting for tomorrow evening. I wish EDF, I wish we would have requested, I don't know if we've done this anybody now, but I wish that the whole town can. Would be more. I think people would get a mile of the project, probably because by law they have to do it. But again, I can't say it enough. I'm not optimistic that there's gonna be a large turnout of the community at that meeting tomorrow night. And I think it's unfortunate because it's gonna change hands. It's not gonna be the same. What's that, 1,500 or 1,585? It's
No, to go in on that, Mr. Smith, at the town of Herman meeting last night, I brought that up. They said, I said, it's nothing to do with the town of Herman, but just to let you know, if you can picture the 80 Pioneer Road into the village of Canton, nothing but solar panels.
And, you know, I understand that they're trying to get to whatever level with whatever period of time. But it's, the power is, it's not necessary, I don't think, for this area. I mean, I think the community solars could generate enough power to take care of our area. So basically what's happening, because downstate, and I mean the city, whatever it is, doesn't have the space to do it. They come up here and they're taking away our natural resource, which is land, for that use. And they say, I mean, sorry. No, and you know, well, you're still going to be able to graze some sheep under it and whatnot. I don't think to me, it's not the same as growing. And I just, I think for, you know, the state of New York, I don't get in trouble, but I mean, you know, the Adirondack part is going to be protected. You know, but there's no protection for, you know, ag land. You know, we consider ourselves to be an ag state, we consider ourselves to be an ag county, we consider ourselves to be an ag county. And we really probably all of our small things. Hope I'm wrong. Okay, people, sorry.
Okay. So you, it was advertised through the media about the meeting. I wish they would have held it here. For people, you know, better access than up at the news house. And for people that walk by, whatever, so
I would
that's.
like this building wouldn't have been anywhere near big enough to house it.
All right, broadband project. So. This is a continuing conversation. The committee, you know, made a recommendation, the study was done. It was decided that it would go to Eric for consideration, of the recommendation, so, Eric, do you wanna share your thoughts on,
Yeah, right, the board is going to consider doing it now, seems to be absolutely the right time. Let's see, a couple of resources are available for, I think, you know, finding the scope of the project, but maybe a real opportunity out there. municipal ownership. If they're not going to do provide content, at least on the new construction. I was skeptical at first, but after. That's what parents really.
I agree. I think follow the two tracks, follow the tracks of dealing with the current providers and getting where they'll meet us at the table, but also pursuing what it would mean to have a municipal project.
In terms of funding, I mean, in the last week's comptroller's report, we spanked the Secretary of State, both, who they were failing, but
For failing to provide.
for failing to provide, that there was an agreement that, and they didn't hold up to that agreement. I mean,
$720 million.
he named them pretty good, and then right afterwards, I saw where governor seems to be adamant that, you know, this is gonna happen in New York State, so if they're gonna make money available, we should be there to grab it. And
It's not just in the state. There's a federal program.
oh, yeah.
And I think, you know, the intimidation factor, I think if it's subbed out and. You know, there's entities out there that handle all the specialized areas that we can. I'm interested in moving forward with. Continue to educate ourselves on it.
So I have a question here. Read that as a committee again. That's Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday. And the question we have is, can we as elected officials informally talk with some of these men? Or do we have to have an members?
I guess, I'm really not sure. What did you ask? I don't understand.
You're talking about just getting information.
Yeah, just talk about, sit down and split and say, you know. You guys are saying what we want to do here? Or?
I don't see why. I'm scrolling my
I'm
mind.
just
right
wondering
at
if
this,
we can have an RFP in order to do something like that.
You're not making a decision, they're just doing background investigation. I don't see anything.
It's just, we didn't really answer that question, we just, because like the officials, we don't want to do a show. So, there's no three of us.
They just do your background.
Now, you're doing committee work.
Yeah.
Committee work.
Yeah.
Now, there's only two of you.
Yeah.
Committee work.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we had the recommendations, this list of recommendations, and then we got the proposal from John McAdoo, which includes the system development RFP. So, you know, we shared the cost of the first study with the village. You know, this proposal was for the price of $15,000. Now until the end of the year, with specific things in here. So I guess I'm looking to the committee. I mean, or do we put this on our joint?
Well,
Agenda.
it needs to be discussed, right? To gauge where the village is.
Because I think there was.
I think the
But
question is,
if you're going down that, lane, then we definitely have to have an RFP because it's more than just one vendor out there to do that sort of thing.
I think what we need to decide as a board, are we philosophically interested in moving forward so that we have the next conversation with the village? I'm,
Well, here's, I think in addition to that. Are we assuming also that,
Speak up, please.
are we assuming also that we are doing basically a joint business deal, if you will, with the village for Brockton? And with what, yeah,
quite possibly.
but that to me makes sense.
Does the village have on certain areas?
They will, they don't technically, but they will, maybe in 10 years, once they get defined on serve, because they have outdated technology. Is that right, Toby?
Yes, I mean, technically, right now, it's outdated, and the company that provides the service is not capable of providing federal standard or new construction, new facility.
Capable or willing.
Sure. You know, the other thing I find hard to do is that we can't find funding for the investigation of this process. The amount out there that I saw just, you know, 15 minutes. Right? I think we want to start it there. Yeah. See if there's provide the more comprehensive. Something, you know, will conflict actual open process.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Eric and I had talked a little bit about this, to do a municipal structure. You had talked about, it might have to look like what was seen in electric, a separate company, a separate board of directors. They collect, we had talked a little bit about that. I mean, to me, that's big. But, you know, and, you know, I do want to remind the board about the staffing level of the town. That we have to really consider who's gonna do the work and how much it's gonna cost and all that. I mean, that's a reality on my board, so.
Okay. Okay, maybe I'm speaking out there, I can see back there. Correctly, shaking your head. Well, I think part of the discussion here is trying to be straightforward and honest about process for existing structures, but conversations go on regardless. And there are agencies within our municipality who provide the kind of support that we may need to put together a project called municipal broadband that doesn't involve any of the people in this room, doesn't involve any additional boards or corporations. We need to investigate that option.
Yeah.
Just where they do all the building.
Where they do all the building, they do all the legwork, they count the poles, they line up the fiber, etc.
And isn't that what the proposal from Mr. McAdoo is? To
That is,
gather all
that is
that.
one option, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, given that his business is that, we have to be careful, and we're trying to observe that carefulness as well. There are others, though. I mean, there are other municipal agencies here within our community that we should be consulting and are having informal conversation.
So where's the oversight? In that scenario, where's the oversight?
The other agency would own the property, would own the facility. Public entity would own the facility and would farm it out to a vendor to supply the transport.
And I think, Mary, I know, it all takes work and it causes problems, but there are problems now that people are having, they don't have internet at home. And that's a problem, and that's a problem I think that we need to take seriously and explore whatever we need to do for them.
And I'm not arguing that point. But I will be presenting a budget. We need more staff,
Sure.
you know, because there is so much money out there, right? And, you
We're
know,
understaffed, we've been understaffed.
so.
And Mary, just for clear, it's not, I hope you're not thinking that I disregarded those conversations.
Oh, absolutely not, no.
But, you know, I'm new to the Canton process.
Yeah.
Okay, and I worked historically in municipal broadband in the past, and it wasn't feasible, it wasn't economically feasible. And what I see now is a change in funding sources. It's absolutely unavailable in the past. Number one. Number two, different ideas on how you can do it, right? So do we want to get into the broadband business? Maybe that's an awful lot to find out. Do we want to get into the ownership of fiber so that others can supply the service without having to do the investment of the fiber? We can get grants to pay for it. Now I'm liking the sound of that a lot more. And you know, there's maybe a mix of those things. There just might be opportunities to really provide a great service to the residents of town without needing to taxing both the personnel and the finances.
I guess what I would suggest to the committee is I would reach out to the association of towns. Ask them who they know in New York State has who is starting the municipal broadband process. Start picking up the phone and calling and talk to other towns and find out what they've learned, what they've gone through and. You know, most of these things, we're not reinventing the wheel here. I think we just need to be proactive and reach out and start talking to other communities and you'd be surprised how things move along when we get that sort of information.
Well, my knowledge is that the municipalities that have tried it in New York State have run into a significant problem involved with taxing property over fiber. Right, and taxation laws, some of them come to rest with local assessor, and some of them do not. But there are very few that I've found in New York State that are pursuing this. Some of them are known to us, and we've already talked to those people. We are blazing a trail here if we go municipal broadband. There just aren't other towns doing it.
I thought Tupper Lake.
Yeah, Tupper's one example. Right, John. There's one over in
Jamestown,
yeah,
city of Watertown's talking about it.
one over near Saranac.
Yeah,
Eastern region, yes.
Down there, probably.
Yeah.
Okay, so is the board in agreement that, this will be on the joint agenda for the 27th? Yes. Discussion.
So I have one more question. Have you reached out to any big players in the community? Any of the big institutions that getting them as an anchor client would bolster the whole thing? Does that make sense or not?
We've had discussions along those lines.
I mean, without naming names, but I just think that getting some anchor entities in there would go a big way towards.
Most of the anchors are attached to DANK.
Yeah.
And have already solved their problem for high-speed full campus connection. Hospital campus, educational campus, those institutions have solved the problem years ago.
Okay, so something we have planned, put it on the joint agenda. All right. The next item is the LWRP application, Grass River Recreation Assessment Feasibility and Strategic Plan. As we remember, the town agreed to move forward and to have Lee come to the Recreation Committee, which we had on Monday, with a draft. There are resolutions. Heidi, I'll then ask you to pull up the town resolution. Overall, the committee is satisfied and will make the recommendation that we move forward. The application is due at the end of the month. But in order for us to move forward, we have to pass the resolution. It's the Article 1 that you have up. So this is these ones. You have it in the packet. Everybody did get a copy of it. Yeah. So are there any questions about what you received? Board members? Okay, so we do have the resolution. And it's a resolution by the town of Canton approving and endorsing an application to the New York State Department of State funding under the 2022 local waterfront revitalization program. And basically, it maps out the structure of how we're going to do this, and there is a draft MOU that you were sent. So once we're awarded, we'll execute that MOU as well, if we get awarded, right? So so I need a motion to approve that resolution. Moved by Bob Sanborn, so a second. Any further questions or discussions, or do you have any comments about this? Okay, it's maybe just the total budget is the 92,435. Is that what that? Oh, excuse me. 96,455 is the total budget. And then the cost, the town and village agreed to fund 50% of the 15% of the share. It's a minimum. Okay, so I have a motion and a second. Is there any further questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye, carry. Okay, Lee, thank you for all of that. All right, the draft joint, recreation, community-based proposal policy. That is a mouthful. So, we'll just try to find it. So the Recreation Committee has been working on this, and basically, and John, if you want to pipe in as well, here it is. So this is a joint policy, if the town and village are interested in having both boards passed. And basically, it outlines the roles of the Recreation Committee, the Joint Town and Village Board of Recreation Committee, the job of the Recreation Director, and the role of the Recreation Advisory Group. And should a constituent want to do some type of special project, there's going to be a process now where they'll have to fill out a form, get it to the Recreation Director, about, I'm sorry? It's a 5-step process. We absolutely support and love when constituents want to do something special, like communities, right? But we have to be able to make sure that there's a process and go from there. So you all have a copy of it. Are there any questions for John about this?
Does it extend to, the Remington Trail, or is it just part of the recreation development?
I can't answer that piece. That would be a village.
Well, for Remington Recreation Trail, my understanding is that's village, not town. So I would think that would be different than this policy.
It isn't that.
Unless the village wants it included in this policy.
So the concept of this is, I understand why, but the concept is new. I mean, the town is creating a policy for a program that's run by another municipality that we don't contribute financially for. So we have no recreation policy. So I mean, we don't have a recreation person. So it seems like the plenty area for us to create a policy on something that we're not in charge of. Ultimately, we're contributing towards it, like we contribute to the fire department, but we don't enact their law. So it's not a town department, so this seems, I understand the reasoning and I don't disagree with the reasoning. It just seems funny for the town to create a policy for an entity that we're not protecting. And we don't have the final say, So.
And this is one area,
Well,
we don't have a shared services agreement.
Well, in this policy, we do have a say, because it comes before the joint recreation committee.
So yeah, at the committee level,
And
the
then,
town board,
it comes to the town boards for approval, it's part of the process.
so we're gonna. Yeah, I'm just saying it's new and it's hybridized, the policy spanning both entities. I don't think there's anything like that on the books.
So we built in where we have a say.
No, I'm saying that too, but there's nothing currently, this is up in territory, correct?
Are there any legal applications?
Policy. Outside. I'm not trying to create trouble, I'm just.
No, and Eric and I talked about this, why are we doing this?
Participating.
Okay.
I mean, as long as both entities adopt it, I mean, you could do it an alternative way, right? Like, if you know, there's always, that we could do it with IMA. Right, but if you both adopt the same policy and agree with the system, it works.
Okay. And, right, and just to be clear, we as the town are not doing, if we're doing this in conjunction with the village creating this policy. It's not the town trying to push it on the village.
Sure.
We're doing this jointly.
You know, and Eric did mention, really, that we already have the authority by law to manage our properties, right?
Yeah.
And what people can and can't do on that.
Yeah.
But this just makes it a little bit more clear, because as you remember, Recreation Department, they went through the whole reimagining process, and now there's an advisory committee. So this establishes exactly what that means.
And the directors make a good with this.
She is.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, she-
Megan was part of the.
Sure, that's-
Yeah. Lee, did you want to say something about
I
that?
just wanted to ask why it's limited to recreation.
That was,
Why is it not a community-based project?
Mhm. And I think,
I
I
think
think the village is looking at,
without
broader.
speaking for them, they're looking at using this as a pickup point for exactly. what you
that's
said.
good, because I was thinking, I had the same question.
Yeah.
Why limit it?
Yeah.
That's good.
okay,
May I appeal for the decision on the Remington Trail? Because my understanding is that the recreation director wanted to include the Remington. So if it's not in there and the words go in, it's been a lame duck for so long.
I don't think we
we didn't
specified
specify,
any specific locations in there.
we didn't.
Should we go, I mean, should we list the entities that are covered, the areas that are covered, and this would be extended to boat launches, correct?
But in regard to getting back to the Remington Trail, even though Megan would like to see it go there, she doesn't do anything with the Remington Trail. That's a request though. It doesn't fall under the auspices of the recreation fund.
This is just a process.
Right.
But that is the request, that it land there.
The Remington Trail is not part of the recreation.
That,
Why is it, why is it?
I
Well-
can't answer that, that's a village
I
thing.
can't answer that, sort of.
Oh.
Historically. When the golf course and the sewer plant were put in out there, part of the bond, even this and that whole project, including the Remington Trail, fell under water and sewer for the village. It was, the golf course is not under recreation either. They're still under that same umbrella as the Remington Trail, sewer plant, everything else out. For whatever reason, they separated. And they, when I say they, I mean the village.
Does the golf course turn a profit?
I think, I would be very surprised if they don't.
Because then why not fold it into recreation, you've got profit in recreation.
I work out there, so I see what I'm doing. I'd be very surprised if they.
Because I heard they had a record spring.
He had an amazing spring.
Right, so I'm wondering, so if there's profit being made off golf, why isn't golf part of recreation and the profit turned back into other recreational programming instead of ending up in some other general budget? So
That's the conversation that I will know, but it never fell under recreation, which I, being the director for all years, I could never really figure out why. I was.
To me, that's a broader.
Right, but we don't tell them, we'll say, they'll say, of course, and we don't contribute to it, right? So it's village owner, so that would be village taking their own revenues and contributing more.
yeah, I can see that line being drawn, but I don't dovetailing the Remington Trail with the golf course at this point. I think it's been going on long enough that it would be better if we were under recreation. I think that's the recommendation that the volunteers who've been maintaining the Remington Trail would like to see it go under recreation, because actually recreation will maintain it, where the golf course does it as the last resort at the end of the season.
Well, actually,
I think that's a broader conversation.
Sure, but it's,
For this,
DPW does a lot of work.
right. Right, and.
but it's a conversation for the committee to have, take back to the committee. That's all, that's on.
Again, we have a joint meeting on the 27th. We can talk about this a little bit more if you'd like at the joint.
Oh, no, I'm
You're good with
I'm good with this, I'm just,
Okay.
it brought up these other questions about other recreational assets, and I think the Remington Trail, like boat launches in the town, should be folded into recreation. Sure, leave the golf course as a standalone, profit loss entity, but bring all of the parks into one whole unit.
Okay, so do I have a motion to pass this policy? Is there a second? Second by Bob Sanford. Any further discussion or concern? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carry. Okay. Thank you. And then we'll plan that through the agendas. Okay, Shared Services Committee change. This is just for information. Bob Washoe resigned from that committee and I appointed John Tyler to the Shared Services Committee. And Bob, thank you for all your things working.
Thank you, John.
ARPA funds. What'd you say? Or did I use plan ignoring on that comment? So ARPA funds. So I sent you, what we have used so far in ARPA money. So, you know, we in, July of 2021, we received 217,332.68, and this is what we've used so far. 12,169 for the down payment of the ICE resurfacer. We spent 4,000 on the broadband study that was done. I'm recommending, this was prior to this full board, but we talked about, you know, the 64 Main Street testing would come out of the ARPA fund. So that is the resolution that's on tonight's agenda for, we agreed with the village to pay half of the cost of the testing on 64 Main Street. And then the delivery of the ice resurfacer is supposed to be before the season. And so that commitment is 48,676. So the total expenses for this year so far 73,340. And so what I'm looking for from the board is, you know, we've got this funding, we got to start thinking about how you want to allocate it. We have it. We talked about a few different things. You know, possibly the broadband study, if that continues, that would come out of the ARPA funds. You know, so I don't.
Remind us very end with the second allotment of money. What's the deadline for that?
Oh, I can't answer that right
It's
now.
an additional years though, on
It's
top of
20
what period we're already in?
I'd have to look at the letter.
And what's the deadline for the first installment?
I gotta be perfectly honest with you, I think it's so flexible, and, you know, we're all set to do our reporting, but it seems like they change things, so I'd have to get that question answered for you about. I don't know right off here. But we need to make some decisions, right? About what you want to do with that. Because we, you know, I think we've been pretty good, so far. But there's other things down the road, right? So, we can talk more about that. Okay, all right. So y'all have that data. All right. All right, new business, town clerk 2022 budget amendment request. So Heidi has given us a write-up of her request. So Heidi, I'm gonna turn it over to you to present.
So I'm just asking the board to consider amending the budget to increase the town clerk's contractual due to in unanticipated expenditures and a 34% decrease in the budget from last year to this year. And I do know that $1,000 was put into a separate line item for archives preservation, but that $1,000 is allocated just for that, so I can't use that to continue to like buy supplies for the office for the remainder of the year. And I have somebody coming in from Profile who does the preservation books sometime this month to do some quotes on a few books that I have, like birth books are like falling apart. So I don't wanna ask to move that money back into the contractual, I wanna leave it where it is. So I did, so one of the unanticipated expenditures was a outstanding bill from 2021, which was $1,680. And then the phone at the counter was broken when I came in. So the village gave me part of the phone from one of their backups that I have to replace. I don't have a price for that. I looked on a couple websites, but they wanted you to order in bulk, so it was pretty pricey. I did find one on Amazon for $20, but we don't have it in Amazon account at the moment. And then on the list on the bottom is everything that I think I need to purchase for the rest of the year to run the office smoothly. But please take into consideration the increase of prices. So I just, for example, my envelopes. So I went back the last few years just to check how often the previous clerks have ordered envelopes for the office. It's at least 2 to 3 times. This would be my first order. So that was almost 1,400 and the prices increased, but they didn't have, a form. I can't say what the difference will be. And these prices are going off to Mason and Staples. So I'm just proposing for a 3,500 additional funds for the remainder of the year.
So if I may have a question. I think John, this is a good question for you. The $1,680, why would that hit appropriation in 2022, and not hit the fund balance? Because it was a 2021 expense.
It wasn't booked as a payment. Which it should have been,
Right.
known about it.
Right.
Good question. I don't know if I have it somewhere. Yes, it could have done. Nobody informed them. State. The lead on come down to everything.
Right.
Not saying it's late to do that.
Right.
And I think, we thought it. Last month or.
We got it in
month
the-
ago. Yeah.
And now
That
it's
it
like,
did-
whoa,
that
what's
it didn't
this?
get paid. You have to update this.
Now, is this a bill that was late from with respect to the vendor? The vendor just sent it to us late?
I can't answer that.
I just got a letter that said it was outstanding, so I don't know.
Yeah.
That's all I had.
And if the board is going to approve, this amendment, we would have to do it, by resolution. at next meeting.
Any questions? I try to break it down the best I could for what I think I need and. I
The
hope
question I had, Heidi, what's the difference between stamps and postage stamps? You have two different.
like
entries here.
stamps, like you received, paid, we're having some issues.
Oh, you mean like
Like rubber stamps, yes,
rubber-
yeah,
Like ink stamps?
yeah, yes,
Oh,
sorry, I should.
Okay.
Ink stamps, yeah, and they're,
Okay.
are actually pretty expensive, I think. WB, like, so usually the office orders like the 8-year stamps, so that when you really didn't stamp it, and just sign it. Opposed to like.
UPS store, well,
you know,
UPS store, constant, even that sort of thing. It's just pricing.
WB Mason is a little expensive, so.
So this is WB Mason and Staples. But first.
So your request is 3,500, even though the total was 3235.
Well, just because the increase in price, like my envelopes are gonna change. They were like a $75 difference between last year when we first ordered it. So I'm trying to just gauge, and then paper, so. I talked to Sally Village about where they order paper from, $75 a case. We just got a good deal for 45, but last week when we had ordered it, it was 56. So the paper is fluctuating according to our WB representative. All paper products are supposed to be increasing. So I just gave that little flexibility for increase of pricing. That's why I put the 35.
If you agree philosophically, we'll bring the resolution back.
Yes.
Everybody go with it?
And I think, thanks for that, Heidi, and I think even with Mike's office, the cost of all mailings and things are going up, so I think we need to be prepared to just.
Yeah.
Watch budgets, and if we need to amend that, we go. Because, I mean, think of fuel budget. What we budgeted, last October. The money we're spending now.
Yeah.
What did you just spend in fuel this month, Stephen?
Lasts a lot. It's over 17,000.
Yeah, so I mean.
And our gallons are pretty much on par with last year. And we were $2.38 a gallon last year at this time, and we're $4.97 currently. So, well,
Yeah, everyone's.
Not just names.
Okay, so we'll bring that back,
58.
next month. All right, number 2, records management plan.
Oh, I forgot.
Heidi, you wanna talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I don't really have anything in writing, but we started, assessing the upstairs vault. And I'm trying to rearrange it because I'm a very firm believer that, let's just say I don't get reelected, I think that the next clerk should be able to walk into that vault and be able to be like, yep, this is it, here it is. I think with everything, that's why I'm creating binders as well, but, so I'm starting with the upstairs vault and just rearranging, going over like, the active file folder, which is an revolving vault for stuff, just going through all records, trying to order it by departments to make it easier, and then once that's done, I'll work on the downstairs basement, because there's a lot down there. And then there's also stuff in there. It's not in the vault, there's also records outside of the vault that need a lot of attention. And then eventually Stephen and I will get together and I'll go check out highways, duct tape, boxes, and go from there and hopefully.
It's only like 3-5
User-friendly.
people,
Huh?
3-5 in town, so. It's not
This.
But yeah, so
Well, records management is huge, it's huge.
it really is, and it's a lot. Like I just recently got a lot of boxes from Cindy, and then Mary Ann's brought a few boxes down that she has come across, and then, yeah, with all departments, but there's nothing in writing, but once I figure out a flow that is user friendly, because that's my big thing, it needs to be user friendly. If I'm not here, Leanna should be able to walk into the vault and say, yep, here it is. So I'm just trying to figure that out, and once that's, I'll have something, hopefully.
If I may, do we want to consider, not this year maybe, but next year, a document management program?
We already had one.
Because actually I use one from ABS. And it's wonderful.
We're talking about the access. No, we're talking about.
No, I'm talking about an actual document management system that you stand it in. The Paperwork Reduction Act allows you to do it. I can tell you, I paid about $2,800 for the system. And I have probably put 35 file cabinets worth of information in the system. And when you want to look for something, you just have to write Bob. And anytime Bob shows up, it's gonna be the Bob.
Right.
I
So
guess I
yes,
would-
we did talk about that because I met with somebody in conference too about that. But the other thing is, we're not organized. We're not organized enough to start doing that because like, it's just a mess. And then I think it's a mess.
I agree. We've been
Like,
working on
once
this.
it's organized, I think that could definitely be a next step, but once I have to get to that point where we know what we have, what we don't need that can be disposed of. There's probably a lot that we can dispose of. But I also have to go off the new retention schedule book and reevaluate half the records we have.
It's a lot.
But that is, we did talk about that. But I thought it would be best to wait until we're more organized before we do that one.
At one point, the town got a grant, I believe, and that's when they hired Connie Allen, and she created this whole system. Is that what it's called, the access program?
I tried to get ADF and I was deputy to help.
She did visualize a lot of the minutes. It's been really helpful to have them done.
Yeah. So,
But some things we still have to keep here, like, even though you did a, we still have to have that special Wilson book with the minutes on the special
Yeah.
preservation paper, so some of that would be, both.
okay. All right, something to think about.
Yes,
Thank you. All right, thanks Heidi. All right, so we already talked about number 3, the local law. Number 2, right? So that's table. Number 4, discussion of local law and pesticides spread. This has been discussion the last couple months. So we'll open it up.
I know I sent you a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, there's. Bob was kind enough after the last board meeting to send me some sample pesticide legislation. From various entities, some within New York, one particular county, and some outside. The problem that I'm running into is local legislation of pesticides is it's limited, very. There's a DEC rule. It's codified regulation establishes in the DEC. It basically makes that they have exclusive jurisdiction over the application. There has been some change in that over the last few years, but nothing that the law wants to do anything substantive. Right, counties have been given a little more power, or school districts have been given more power. But the local municipalities really haven't done much to think. Right, so our ability on a lot of these sites of pesticides is really by statute. But there's a concept in law called reaction, that's where a higher body controls the area that the more local organizations don't have an opportunity to think or with space and be occupied legislation not occupied. That's kind of what we saw.
And local land that has greater land under the KD line, but meaning that if you request to develop a land that you do not want spraying on your property, then it's so, I think, again, it's one of those things where, you know, they say they won't do it. Then if they go ahead and still do it, where do you go? Our treatment.
I think, yeah, there's two areas that you can track, right? And say, hey, my statute, you see, this town is supposed to be regulating that. And, you know, all those people that change their transitions have a license, position of public service. There's our other. These are the two entities that govern the facility and the application for the pesticide. Not much. You know, I kind of ballpark some potential, something for us to discuss, but I really don't think it's much in the way of enforcement.
Then I think the other issue that we run into is if we try to and restrict it to like it's generally pesticide, you know, herbicide use under the KD line or, you know, by, you know, the county, I think, does maintenance on a lot of their signage. Using.
Margaret, I mean, if it's not the local road issue, it's a problem of opening the door that wasn't gonna, I mean, this is even a bigger one, because you can buy this stuff over the counter.
But and there's a county down, we shrink them. So all of our signs are maintained manually. So how do you, now all of a sudden you're trying to control what another municipality is doing in your. Very close.
So to Eric's point about signage, as an organic farm, if I felt there was a threat on our road to spraying that would, create a problem for my certification, I could post my road and legally they can't spray my shoulder with PVC. An ag market would support. So I think if you post it, they're bound to not spray.
But the landowner.
The landowner can be a landowner. And this is a no spray area. Period.
So we somehow have to get that message to the landowners. Because they wouldn't necessarily know that.
Use that or reporting to PDC,
Yeah.
POS. All that sort of issues that's taken up with those authorities. Have this board stay out in the middle of it.
Yeah, it's a Pandora's box. I mean, you're not gonna find anybody who's more down on that stuff than me, right? It's gonna be a fair rating.
Would someone feel comfortable giving, Bill Myers a call?
I'll talk to him.
There was his, you know, concern in the last couple of months and his request of this, so. We'll let him know. Yeah, my thing was enforcement. How do you enforce? You know? All right, is everybody good with that? Bob will talk to Bill and we'll go from there. All right, thanks for your work on that. Garrett, appreciate it. All right, the next is the budget amendment for the ARPA funds and the account for the 64 Main Street testing. Heidi,
That's all I do have.
okay. All right. So basically, that's what this, resolution is approving using ARPA funds for 84.95.50.
So, okay,
First and second, you got that, Heidi? Jim Smith and Bob Washoe. Any further questions or concerns? Again, this is half of what the cost was, village paid the other half. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye, carried. All right, the IRS mileage reimbursement. So Heidi, I've got those two resolutions. We'll just do that tomorrow. You saw the memorandum from Homer Whalens that the mileage reimbursement effective July 1st of 2022, the IRS increasing the mileage reimbursement to 62.5 cents per mile for the final 6 months of 2022, an increase of 50 from 58.5, which is what we're paying, is my recommendation, and I'll make the motion that we increase the mileage reimbursement to 62.5 cents per mile for the rest of this year.
so moved.
Oh, I
For
did.
second.
Okay. All right, so I made the motion, Heidi, and Bob, you seconded?
I do have a question.
Yes,
Is there a way that we can create a policy that just tracks it where we don't have to change it every time? it changes?
I'm involved in other organizations and I'm just tied into the IRS rate. Our reimbursement for mileage is whatever we could do on the IRS rate is.
Let's just track it as that and make that what we're gonna do and then leave it to the John as it changes and he's notified and he can make those changes. And then that way we
Well-
don't have to revisit the issue every, because I mean, with the prices of things, this could be every couple of months. I'm just wondering, if there's a way to simplify this, let's just, our policy is we're in line with them, what they need, and when they change.
And we're do that.
Yeah. But this way, it would just save us the discussion, just so automatic.
I'll modify my motion.
Okay.
That we go to the 62.5 per mile, and that follow each and every IRS change there is. To the reimbursement rate. Is that good?
Unless somebody brings it to our attention that it's not crazy and we can take a time out.
The price is gonna change. We're not gonna, it's not gonna come to us. We're not gonna approve it.
You're adopting the IRS rate.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Okay.
So that, because at the end of the day, we're gonna still.
We're gonna approve it anyway, you know. The person might sit there, I'm gonna say no.
And Cindy. Yeah. All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye, carried. Okay.
Wait till you see my budget.
All right. Let's keep going here. Number 7. Is there a motion to approve the Rensselaer Falls Road closure request?
Second.
Moved by John, Kyle, second by Bob Washoe, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, let's do the culvert expenditure and the second. So you guys are all good.
Aye.
Yeah, the motion is to approve what, Bob Washoe?
2 culverts.
2 culverts for the price of what?
I don't have 21,000.
21,656.
Very good.
And who seconded it?
I do.
All right, so Bob Washoe, Bob Sanamore, all in favor, say aye. Aye, carry. Okay, all right, now what's the road? Irish Settlement Road.
Urban highway.
All right, but you gotta have specifics. You have to have specifics in your motion.
All right.
You gotta have specifics of what you're
So we're trying to alleviate flooding. That is. probably
I know, I just
every
need-
year.
I just need the details, how much road, and how much, an estimate of how much it's gonna
4,700 feet,
cost.
right?
Oh, okay, we're on the road now.
Yeah.
We're on the road, the culverts are done, we already
Okay.
has that. Yeah.
4,010 feet.
At the, at an approximate cost of what?
146.
Yes.
923.
146, 782.
Okay, you got that, Heidi? All right,
That's approximate, but that would change.
and what's the name of the road again?
Finnegan.
The Finnegan Road. All right, you got all that, Heidi?
From Ames Road intersection to the. high end.
All right. Is there a motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, carried. All right, it is getting late. The next item is to discuss a moratorium on the anaerobic digesters.
We have to set a public hearing. Right?
Okay,
Motion for a public hearing?
we want to discuss what it is.
Yeah, what's being proposed is a moratorium on anaerobic digesters that would basically use livestock and poultry manure and feedstock contributed by that's used burned off site. The idea is we wanted to be able to get some control of that. We can, battery storage, so we have a logical process.
And the difference, there are some protections if this is on farm production, so if it's from a farm, and it's on the farm, and it's the farm managing it and operating the facility, then it's covered by ag markets and considered an accessory use, so it would be subject to our law, but if a company wanted to come in, say, and set up, a system and then buying manure from local farms, and trucking it to an independently operated facility, then our local law would apply, it would be covered by ag market.
What about college?
All right,
What about a college? Canton College has grand plans to do it.
Well, they use it on site. Already.
yeah, I'm sorry. And I
Not
probably,
producing-
they probably
not-
said that one,
Not
but
producing the manure.
Say it again, John?
They're not producing the manure, so bringing it in.
Yeah, but the idea that prohibition is against exporting the gas. from site.
cooperative extension has a small demonstration one that Clarkson operates, but they, that's turned in electricity right on site at cooperative. So on-farm facilities would be exempt.
So, are there thoughts about the length of the?
Yeah, February, right? Yeah, it's in there. And then we're gonna sit down together and we'll put a lot, you know, for review.
Okay, so, we have to set a public hearing. And what's critical too is we have to think about the 10-day window to legally post it, so we want to have a public hearing.
So do we want to do law first
Now,
or the proposed law first?
August buys us the time to write the law. So
Right,
in case the company comes knocking before we have a law written. So the more, so this gives us till February to write the law, have a public hearing, adopt the law.
the law is the
Moratorium
moratorium.
buys us time to create the law.
Okay, but we're having a public hearing on the moratorium.
So we move.
I know what Eric.
We'll write our law, and then it's gonna go to law.
So you want to do that next month?
Yes,
All right, so, we already have a draft that we can legally post to, right?
Yeah.
All right, so what time do you want to do it?
5:45.
So 6.
Hey, peanut gallery.
5:56.
Public hearing.
Open, shut.
All right, All right, so that's that. All right, is there any public comment? All right. We do need to go into executive session for negotiations, purchase of, you know, real property, thank you. I am getting tired, folks. And I'm not gonna apologize. Okay, so I need a motion. I'm seconding it. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you. All right, thanks, everybody. Appreciate everything you do. Oh, there it is. right there.
Across the class. There's,